There's no other feeling thinking that you're going to lose your child. You're desperate, you feel helpless. I had gone to the doctor on Wednesday. I had just been sick throughout the whole pregnancy, and I could tell that something wasn't right. And when I went into the doctor, he said that I had had an infection and gave me a prescription. So when I got that filled, I got it home and I was reading the bottle, and it just said, you know, if you have any of these symptoms, do not take this medication. And I had had every symptom listed on there, you know, just fever and pain in my back, but I didn't know this was my first child, and I didn't know what to expect. And so I left work early that day, and when I got home, called the doctor, and he said, you know, you better come in so I can see what's going on. And so I met him at the hospital, and by the time I got to the hospital, I couldn't even walk. The cramping was so bad, and they got me in to a room right away, and you know, he was examining me, and he told me, you're in labor. He just said, you know, it doesn't look good. You know, she's not going to make it.
We didn't want to accept that, of course.
Right.
He kind of took me in a corner and said some things I didn't want to hear. Of course, our first kid. He brought up the money issue. You know, it could cost us $1 million to have this child, and that, you know, they weren't even equipped to handle this kind of a situation. So
he just gave us no hope whatsoever. The next morning, the doctor came in and examined me again, and he said, she's coming. And Brian said, well, we're not staying here any longer then. You take us somewhere where they can help us. Once I got then to OSU Friday morning, they just said, you are full of infection. So that Friday, I had just turned 24 weeks, actually. And when they did the ultrasound and told us how sick she was, they gave her a 1 to 5% chance to live. Her arm came out first, so they kind of had to push her back in and reposition and everything. And then she was delivered, and I didn't even get to see her. I mean, they whisked her away so quick. And I just remember the doctor saying, you know, your baby's alive right now, your baby's alive. And, you know, I just remember my mom and Brian, you know, they were both kind of at my head just saying, you know, she's alive, she's alive. And, you know, it was just a really hard, you know, it was just a hard time. And
she didn't even look like she was breathing. I was concerned for her too, and it was just a bad day.
Yeah, it was. And so the first 72 hours are the most critical. And you know, if she can make it through those 72 hours, each day she's going to have a better chance. She was in there 102 days. She was in there. When she was born, she only weighed 1 pound, 7 ounces. And by the time we brought her home, she was 4 pounds, 11 ounces.
I would just sit and stare at her. It's, you know, I had to make sure that she was going to be okay, and
yeah,
I never left her.
I think, though, I mean, any mother could sympathize, any father could sympathize, you know, with not knowing one day to the next if your child is going to make it. You know, you have so much love for your child, and we were just desperate for her life, you know, to have her be a part of us. We knew that God was going to make it okay no matter what happened. You know, if he wanted her to be here, she was going to be here, and if he didn't, then he would make it okay for us. And, you know, today she's healthy, you know, she's this fantastic daughter now that, you know, she's just a typical teenager, and we just love her to pieces, and we're so thankful.